This is Whispering Adirondacks Radio. This time on Whispering Adirondacks Radio, we sit down with longtime resident and dedicated community volunteer Don Morrison, who has lived in Jay, New York for over 45 years with his wife Connie. Together, they talk about their years in town, where they grew up, and how they started volunteering in the community and on the Jay Village Green. This interview is a multi-part series, which we will upload a new broadcast every 2 weeks in the spring of 2023. In Part 4, we wrap up the latest restoration efforts on the historic and iconic bandstand, Don's retirement from organization of the upkeep and maintenance at the Jay Village Green, and what he plans on doing with his time now. Closing out the interview, Don catches myself and his wife Connie off guard with his closing words. I only have a few more questions, and then we're going to wrap up the interview. One of the final things that you did that was a major project for the park in 2022 was gathering a small group of volunteers together with a post on the Jay Community News and repainting the bandstand and replacing a few pieces of broken boards just before the first 4th of July celebration since the world had turned upside down in 2020. How did it make you feel after you and the volunteers finished that afternoon?
Really good. It was great. I had a lot of people helping and offering to help. And
it was a small group. I was there, but we were small but mighty, I guess you could
that's
say.
Right. That's right.
We painted,
hardworking and dedicated, I would say.
we repainted the whole outside of the bandstand that day,
Right.
Yeah.
and the steps, and I think I even touched up some of the stuff on the fountain with some of the green paint that we had left over.
Yes, you did. They did. They touched up the door and so on and so forth on that phone.
Yeah.
Every bit counts.
Yeah, and it still looks good. I mean, we're first month of 2023, and the paint still looks bright and fresh on the bandstand, and
It does. It looks really nice.
It boggles my mind that someone would want to destroy it after we made it look so nice.
I don't know why you would when it does look so nice.
I don't know. It's odd to me, if you came here looking for a place to buy and you liked the town and you moved here, you liked it when you moved here, so why do you want to change it once you're here? Yeah. It's like I don't get the idea of let's change everything the minute I'm there. It's like
Right.
you've both lived here, you've lived here your whole life. Don, you've been here most of your life, and that's what you like. That's why you stayed here, because you like it.
Right.
So it's confusing, I guess, in a way that someone would want to come in and take away what we have because we like it, right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense that they would want to come in and do that.
My philosophy has always been, a lot of people say, when other people get destructive and they break this and so on and so forth, they go, well, let's take that out of there, just rip that right out of there so they don't have that to destroy or to do whatever. And my philosophy always is the better care, do just the opposite. The more you care for it, you eventually, that works into people who were destroying it and saying, maybe that wasn't such a good idea to destroy it.
Right.
So the better care you take of it, the more other people will take care of it.
Yeah.
That's always been it.
That's a good motto, because I know Mitch Dickerson.
Right.
He lives up by Ward's, and Mitch used to do the roadside cleanup on 9N in the spring and the fall. For years and years and years he did that. And his motto with that was, and I don't know if it was something that he created or if he got it from someone else, but he said that if you keep the street clean, people are less likely to throw something out the window because they go, "Oh, it's so nice here," and it doesn't always work, but
But if we keep it up long enough, it eventually will work.
yeah,
You have to
absolutely.
struggle with that.
Sometimes it's an uphill battle, but
Yeah.
We did a lot of road cleanups
Yeah.
over the years
A lot
too.
of cleanups.
Lots.
But it makes a difference. It really does.
Oh, it does.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So now that you're retired from the park, what are your plans now? Sit back and enjoy yourself?
Yeah,
Or?
sit back and enjoy things. I would help,
Plant more
if
flowers.
they were doing something and need help down there, I would get down and help. I'm just not going to lead it, I'm not going to be the person that, okay, well, now's the time to put the chairs out, now's the time to do that. That's somebody else's.
Right.
Job.
You're retired from the chief position. Now you're just an Indian.
I'm just an Indian.
Now you still volunteer at the Wilmington and J Food Shelf in Wilmington.
Right.
Tell us about that quickly and the tasks that you do there, and what are your future plans there?
Well, I think we're going to probably keep doing it a little bit longer. I don't know how much longer. That was having a glass of wine here one night, and
Dr. Bremer.
Dr. Bremer said, what this place really needs is a food shelf, to help people that don't have food. I said, well, that sounds really great. So we went to the church and they said, you can certainly use that building over there for it. And we sort of tried to keep it away from thinking that it was a completely Methodist church thing. And so we always acknowledge thanks for the building and you do it. We never wanted we wanted to set this up so we didn't take any money from the church.
Right.
Which would have put a burden on them. And that was before the thrift shop, so we didn't have any money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, we're going to do it strictly through donations. And we are a nonprofit organization. That part of it works through the church that says, we have this organization. We just don't do any, we don't give them any money.
Request
We don't
money.
The money goes back into the food shelf.
So the money part of it, and the picking up of the food, and all of that is completely voluntary. I have about 5 volunteers, and we use the regional food bank in Latham, and we go 2 or 3 times a month. Usually 2 times a month. We put in an order. And the order is absolutely huge. It's 12. It used to be 12 sheets of front and back food that you could get from them. Some you pay for. Some of the food you have to pay for. Some you pay a little bit more for, and the majority of it is free. And I think they have 90 food shelves in the state that they keep that they supply.
Wow.
And just this area alone, just in the Latham area, north, all the way north of the border. And that's how we get the food. We order the food, we go online, we order the food we want. They come on a Thursday morning in a huge tractor trailer. They take your food out the tractor trailer, they set it on the food, on the floor, on the ground, on pallets. Put it down, and you load it into your vehicle. You bring it back over. You get the group of volunteers. They'll come over and help put it on the shelves. And it's time-consuming and
Hard work.
and it's hard work.
Yeah.
But we think we're doing the right thing, and we're not costing anybody. The communities, Jay and Wilmington, completely fund that thing, and it's a lot, and it's a huge funding.
And
It's not cheap.
It's funded by the people, not the governmental agencies, right? Is what you're saying?
But it's not you, right?
No.
Yeah.
No government.
I mean,
No,
we
so-
spend normally every time we go to them either seldom is it once a month. It's usually 2 times a month, and we spend somewhere between $500 and $1,000 every time we go there. So you can imagine the amount of money that comes in strictly through volunteer. Ward Lumber just did 2 days. They did a Thanksgiving and a Christmas of a matching. They match whatever was given to them.
What they do, I think, anybody that wants to donate, they can. But if you use a credit card, you can round up your
Can
bill,
round it up,
and that money goes into
Yep, they
a
can
fund
round that
for you,
up.
right?
In Wilmington, the little supermarket is
does the same
done
thing.
exactly the same thing. And then there are organizations that give to it, and there are tons of volunteers that will just write us a check. And the churches, the good part of what the church does is they keep the bookkeeping. All I have to do, the check comes in here, I take it over to them, they put it in the account, and then we spend the money.
On the food for the shelf. Yeah, that's great. Well, that's good. It's good that you have a resource that you can utilize.
Oh yeah, and then for fresh things, we have enough money in our budget. I go to when we go to pick this up, we go to the store in Saranac Lake. All these, and we pick up fresh stuff for them too. Put fresh stuff out there.
Yeah.
It's really well utilized.
Good. That's what it's there for. So I only have 2 more questions. What other volunteer accomplishments have you achieved here in town, and what are some things that people might not know about that you've done?
You were a fireman for 5,000 years.
Yeah.
You were.
Oh, that's right. You were a member of the J Firehouse, right?
J Fire Department. I was a member of the town. What was the town?
You sat on that board for the. You worked for a lot of years with the people in Elizabethtown. What is that?
Oh, Cooperative Extension.
Cooperative Extension.
Okay.
I was on there for many years.
And on the library board in Upper J.
And the library board in Upper J.
I've seen you cleaning the sidewalks off up there before after a
Yeah.
snowstorm. So.
Oh yeah.
And
Way back.
the board in Osable, that was people that wanted to build here. What was that?
Oh, was it a planning board?
Planning board.
Yeah, planning. I was on the
that
planning board
for years and years. He's at the church. He's runs the church. He served as the supply pastor for 3 years in Upper J and Keene.
And then the church in Upper J isn't used anymore for service. So.
No,
No.
so sad. Neither is the one in Keene.
Oh, that's right. It got converted
Yeah,
into an art
Keene's
gallery,
been
right?
completely converted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we're getting to the end of the interview, how would you like to end the interview? Do you have any advice to give or info to say? The floor is yours. Dangerous water?
No, okay. There's a lot of times I wish I hadn't done that. I've done too many organizations and not spent enough time at home. But somebody will ask you, well, okay, you do this for a little bit, and then it goes on longer than you wanted to go on.
Yeah, like the day we did the bandstand, we were going to be there for 2 hours, and I think we were there for
2 days.
6 and a
Yeah,
half.
you're there for 2 days. Yeah, too much.
Yeah.
So,
But the community's also a better place because of what you did,
well, yeah.
and everyone appreciates
so.
that too.
And Connie helps me out with everything that I do.
Yeah. Well, you're both very community oriented, and you've always been a part of the community for as long as I can remember. So.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you were just a little guy when
I know. I remember seeing you at the park walking to the post office. So. But I think I was getting back to the point of like what we talked about earlier. You know, someone will come into town and they'll want to change things. And yeah, you did change some stuff on the park. You ripped the trees out that were a messy. And you know, those trees probably started out as a little hedge that someone trimmed every week, and then that person didn't do it anymore, and they grew up into a big messy tree. You know, and like, you know, we replaced the visitor sign. The old visitor sign with a new visitor sign.
Right.
But it's an improvement, not a distract, or it's not, we weren't destroying history by those actions. You've preserved the bandstand. You've preserved the legacy of the park. You've preserved the historical meaning of the park, of all those years before you, of what the park meant to people. They used it for band practice, they used it for parties and picnics, and the 4th of July for years and years. And you came, you did make it your town, you did live, you moved here, you made it your home, but you didn't change it. You appreciated what was here, and you took on everything that was here, and you preserved it, and you made it like it should be.
Yeah, that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to volunteer to see if we can keep, make it a better place, that's all.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I guess on that note, we can end the interview.
Oh, good.
And
Thanks, yeah.
I can't thank you both enough for sitting down and talking, and hopefully
Talking.
Yeah. Well, and I think the community will want to hear what you've had to say, so it's good.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
With the closing of the interview with Don, I would personally like to thank both Don and Connie for sitting down with me and allowing to ask the questions and allowing you, the listeners, to learn about their adventures over the last 45 plus years here in Jay, New York. I would like to also say that Don mentioned in his closing statement that he wished he had spent more time at home with family rather than being so dedicated to so many projects and organizations. What I would like to add to this is for you, Don, because of all your dedication to the community, to the park, to the boards and charities, and unknown acts you have done. You have made your family bigger outside of your home. You have created a family in the community, friends, connections, and most importantly, you did it because you cared. And I think we all owe Don so much gratitude for everything he has sacrificed to make all our lives just a little bit happier and brighter. I would encourage you to share your memories of the Jay Village Green, stories of perhaps working with Don or how his actions have impacted you. Perhaps a Jay News post or letter mailed to Don would be most welcoming, to pass on how much the community appreciates his and his family's efforts. Please stay tuned for one final broadcast in Part 5 of local interviews by residents of the area talking about the Village Green, the bandstand, Don's many volunteer efforts, and memories they may share, coming up in 2 weeks, here on Whispering Adirondacks Radio.